With all of these types of formulas, we want to make sure that mom has safe water and access to facilities that she can sanitize bottles, nipples, and anything that she's providing food for the baby. Cow's milk formula alternatives like soy and specialty formulas are available if the child is not tolerating the cow's milk formula. But this is where a lot of moms and families get confused because we're told that we should not give any cow's milk to babies under 1 year of age, and that is true. But the formula is a basis or based off of cow's milk. It is higher in iron and supplemented with nutrients that regular cow's milk is lacking. So the child can be served formula, which would be cow's milk based. That's the standard. And then if they are having problems like spitting up or fussy or gassy, then we might try a soy or a different formula. Like some examples are Alimentum or Nutramigen, and those are formulas that are already pre-digested, so they'll help with any digestive difficulty that the child is having. So we talked about the vitamin D. We're getting vitamin D adequately if they're getting formula, but if the child's breastfed, they're going to need a vitamin D supplement. Iron stores are generally sufficient for those first 4 to 6 months. So again, once we're introducing solid foods at 6 months, we want to make sure that they're iron foods that are high in iron, like iron fortified baby rice cereal, and then fruits and vegetables. And then at 6 months, fluoride sources should be evaluated um, to see if fluoride supplementation is needed. So this is the first time, or excuse me, the most rapid growth of the life cycle for these babies. The first year, we're going to do breast milk or formula. And then at 6 months, we're going to look for these signs of readiness that you see on page 249. And those are things like holding their head up, paying attention to food, being interested to food. And then babies at this stage, they no longer have this tongue reflex. So if you've seen a baby being fed first foods, that you might often see that they're sticking their tongue out when the spoon comes up to their mouth. And that's actually physiologically important because it's a way to prevent babies from choking. So if they're putting something up to their mouth, their tongue is going to have that reflex of sticking out so that they don't swallow something. So if they're still doing that reflex, they're probably not ready for solid foods. Iron fortified baby rice cereal will be the first solid food that we'll offer, and that's because it's the least allergenic. And then you'll see on page 250 a new food schedule. And just make sure that you make a note in there. The book says 4 to 6 months, but again, we want to recommend about 6 months before we start that solid food. And then we want to add new foods one at a time so we can determine if there is an allergic reaction. And historically, it was thought that babies who were born into families that have high levels of food allergies, that they should avoid allergen, the top 8 allergen foods. But now we know that the early introduction of those high allergen foods can be helpful. So at 6, 8 months, introducing like a peanut butter puree mixed with water that's very thin. That earlier introduction of peanuts can be helpful to decrease the risk of that later in life. At 6 months, baby can use a cup, like a non-spill cup, and you can use breast milk or formula in the cup. You could give the child juice, but it's really not necessary. It should be limited to 4 ounces of juice per day, and it's best to dilute it if you are going to be providing juice. We want to look at milk introduction. So whole milk offered after 12 months, not before, and then we're gradually going to switch